5 o'clock, Prater in the ball game on this Wednesday edition of what we hope is your favorite sports talk radio program. Welcome in our blue ice vodka video audience on the KTIK YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to that one, what are you doing? You should so far. And we're off and running, ready to go. Now, there are 4 teams still playing college football, and 2 of them will play tomorrow night. We'll be talking about that all day. Prater, tomorrow's Fiesta Bowl, Miami, the U. Fiesta Bowl, Miami, it reminds me of Camos getting off the plane, taking on Penn State. That was in the Fiesta Bowl way back in the day. But Miami against Ole Miss tomorrow in the Fiesta Bowl. Both coaches worked under Nick Saban extensively. Kirby Smart and the interim,
Pete Golding.
Pete Golding worked under Nick Saban, the interim at Ole Miss. Matter of fact, the guy who replaced Lane Kiffin's also a Saban guy. So, and then you go to the other game, Dan Lanning, Saban, Kurt Signetti, longtime Saban assistant. Nick Saban disciples are the only ones that are left. Your thoughts on that? Not a shock, right?
No, it's crazy, and it once again just shows. And again, I know I every single time I say it, I know you guys roll your eyes. It's why I think Nick Saban is the greatest ambassador. He's an unbelievable coach. He's amazing.
He's the best.
He may not think the highest of the G6s of the world, and he's an elitist snob. I get it, but he is the best, and he's done it the right way, and he's done it the smart way. And his coaching tree is absolutely brilliant. His coaching tree is absolutely stunning. We've talked about Boise State's coaching tree, and we're going to transition into that. And I've put together some of Boise State's coaching tree. I keep this completely unorganized chart of names. There's well over 50 names of former Boise State coaches and players who have all kind of branched out into coaching land. Nick Saban's, I would need an encyclopedia to get that done. And now we see 4 of them rise to the top. One of them's going to win a national championship, and Nick Saban played a very significant role in that. And I think that's good in college football.
Nick Saban, yep. All 4 disciples. Now, Chris Petersen, his list, I mean, the Saban list, I don't know if you could find a collegiate list that's better. I mean, maybe like a Bo Schembechler way back in the day, Tom Osborne. Nick Saban's a Don James guy who led the Washington Huskies for a long time. He played for him, and then that was his first job. He was a GA under Don James at Kent State. That's where Nick Saban got his start. And now,
Skip Hall was part of that tree.
Skip Hall was on that tree. You're right. But Cristobal was a longtime Saban guy. He was his offensive line coach when he was building that Bama dynasty. Kurt Signetti was the receiver coach on those same staffs. And then
for 5 years.
Yeah. And then Lane Kiffin comes in when I believe it was either McElwain or Cristobal, one of those guys who was his OC, left to get a head gig. And Lane Kiffin was in like a rock bottom situation, which he's been in a few times.
Yes.
His Saban brings him there and kind of resurrects his career.
That's what I was going to say. The thing that has always stood out to me about the Saban tree is the kind of gets made fun of sometimes on social media and called like the internship at Alabama, where you just kind of go there to rebuild your image a little bit, and you learn from the
Sarkisian.
Yeah, Sarkisian's a good one, exactly, and you just kind of step away from the limelight and take a lesson from college football's big-time ambassador, and then you're back at it at a big job not that long after that.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, and Saban gets some of that. Saban gets something out of that, too, because he gets another smart guy hanging out in his building, sharing ideas with him, too.
All right, well, let's switch this over to Boise State's Nick Saban. And I mean that as nothing but the greatest compliment of all time. But our Nick Saban here in Boise is Chris Petersen. Easily. And it's not even debatable. And Chris Petersen's coaching tree, and a lot of these names that are on my coaching tree list right here have a lot to do with Chris Petersen. Some of them not so much. I mean, Dirk Cutter was kind of the godfather, and then here comes Dan Hawkins to do what he had to do. And then Chris Petersen just took that sucker and just blew it up in a good way. And it exploded with talent on the coaching staff. It exploded with talent in the players, in the locker rooms. And the Chris Petersen influence is crazy in college football right now. Let's talk about Chris Petersen's coaching tree, the leaves that have fallen off, that have rallied to become head coaches either in the National Football League or college football.
Well, let's start with, I don't know where to start. I'll just start with the National Football League and Kellen Moore.
Number one on that list.
Just finished his first year. I think Saints fans are really excited. We actually will share a clip We have, I think, Vicky Loomis, the general manager of the Saints, talking. They spoke to the media today, and he summed up Kellen's first year as a rookie NFL head coach. And, I think Kellen is going to be in this game, I would think, a long time, hopefully as a head coach. If not, he'll be a great coordinator, but he can maybe become kind of the lead horse of the Chris Petersen, or the lead dog of the Chris Petersen coaching tree. Because, the college guys who you can get to, some of them have been around a while, and they're still kind of waiting to pop mega on a national level.
Yep.
Talking about the Chris Petersen coaching tree, but certainly Kellen Moore in the NFL is a big time member of the Chris Petersen coaching tree.
100%. The only guy that we have NFL-wise, I think he's got the brightest future. He's number one on this list by far. By the way, guys, a programming note for tomorrow. We're going to live to New Orleans. Ross Jackson, you've heard him several times on this show. He's the number one of the number one podcasters and reporters covering Kellen Moore this season. Live from New Orleans tomorrow. And also JT the Brick, live from Las Vegas tomorrow. Nice. We're going to wrap up Kellen Moore's season. We're going to wrap up Ashton Genty's season. We're going to dedicate tomorrow's show to both those guys and go straight to their markets live with some of the biggest experts in those markets and talk about the season they just finished up.
Dude, and then Friday, how about this? Friday, John Bates comes on.
Yes, sir.
Washington Commander tight end, former Bronco.
Love it.
And Dirk Cutter.
Oh,
we re-signed Dirk Cutter. We're working out the particulars to be, once again, the KTIK NFL playoff correspondent. So we bring Cutter on, hopefully around 5 p.m. every Friday. And that's how we get you ready for the NFL playoffs. It's going to be great.
Plus one more. I can make that just a tiny little bit better. Our first sit-down interview as we get ready for Boise State's big game against Utah State on Saturday night. You and I are going down, and we're having one of those sit-down interviews with Drew Fielder and kind of get to know him a little bit. So Cutter, John Bates, Drew Fielder on Friday, tomorrow, Genty and Moore. Spectacular finish to this week, guys.
All right. Justin Wilcox and Brian Harsin. Let's go there. Those were Pete's first young star kind of bonus baby coaches. Remember, like those guys, Harsin and Wilcox, it felt like they left town both when they were still in their 20s, it felt like.
When Chris Petersen hired them as coordinators, they were both 29 years old.
Okay.
I believe at the time, if I remember my Idaho Statesman archives the way I should, they were both the youngest coordinators in all of college football then.
Wow.
They were
and he had both of them.
years old. And he hired them at the same time, both 29, and they both went off to do pretty cool things. Obviously ups and downs, and obviously, like you said at the start of the segment, a lot of work to do, but Harsin and Wilcox are certainly a part of that.
That's a big part of it. How about, I'll go Jonathan Smith. He's looking for work right now, but Jonathan Smith, I remember when he left my Idaho Vandals. He was the quarterback coach in Moscow for Rob Akey, and I remember when he left, I believe he went to Montana, and then he came to Boise State, or he went to Boise State and then Montana. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but Chris Petersen found Jonathan Smith, said, I liked what he was doing, brought him down as his quarterback coach. And when Chris Petersen took the Huskies job, Jonathan Smith came up there and was a very, very popular offensive coordinator for the Huskies. They loved Jonathan Smith so much to the point that, the Beavers finally said, okay, we're going to have you come down to Corvallis. You are ours. And that worked there. And it almost worked too much because Jonathan Smith felt he had to leave. Then he went to Michigan State and got smoked. But he's on the Chris Petersen tree. And he was a riser on the Chris Petersen tree. And now I'm not sure where Jonathan Smith's going. He should still be coaching. Jonathan Smith's a hell of a football coach. It didn't work at Michigan State because of the NIL.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of a tough job.
It's just tough. But he was winning 9 games in Corvallis before he took that job. Somebody should get after Jonathan Smith. It's got to be the right deal because right now he's just collecting money for Michigan State.
Yeah, I sure wish he was in Corvallis, so that'd be really cool. All right, ball game. I need you to give me 30 to 60 seconds on Jimmy Lake.
Okay, Jimmy Lake was a total disaster for the Washington Huskies. And it's the coach
not because of Chris Petersen, but at the recommendation of Chris Petersen.
Yeah, what happened was, Chris Petersen built Washington almost to the Boise State level. It was just popping. I think they went to 3 or 4 consecutive New Year's 6 bowl games. It was the first Pac-10, Pac-12 school to play in a CFP game. That was Chris Petersen, and he left kind of in the middle of the night. Nobody knew up in the Washington community that Chris Petersen was going to retire. It surprised everybody, and it was almost late in the game or wherever it was in the game where they didn't even interview anybody. was almost like Chris Petersen went to the athletic director and said, hey, keep this thing going. Give it to Jimmy Lake. He's ready. Because at the time, Jimmy Lake was a star young DC. Then he got the head coaching job. His first year was COVID, was 2020. And it did not work there. And I'm not sure where Jimmy Lake is coaching now, but he was a disaster as a head coach. Maybe he got a raw deal. He probably did.
I think he's in the NFL, maybe Atlanta.
I think you're right. I think he's where he was working for Raheem Morris. Now he might be on the beach again, but that was a big thing. Husky fans, Jimmy Lake and Bush Hamden. There's another guy. He's not a head coach. Wasn't a head coach. Might someday will be.
Yep.
He was an offensive coordinator for Chris Petersen up in Seattle too. How about a couple others? Sean Kugler.
Sean Kugler.
Where is he? He's
offensive line coach. Ended up at UTEP as a head coach. Got himself in trouble. Got himself into a lot of personal trouble. Ended up getting fired. He dabbled in the NFL. He was a very well-respected, very popular offensive line coach in college football and in the NFL. Got that head coaching job at UTEP and flamed out. I don't think he's recovered. I don't think he's ever gotten a job since Sean Kugler's coaching career. And if I'm wrong, I'll bring back some information in the next segment, but I'm almost positive Sean Kugler is gone. That leaves us down to 4 names. Let's throw the 2 guys in there that didn't quite get the job done. Andy Avalos and Mike Sanford.
Yep. They're on the Chris Petersen tree. And Andy Avalos, he didn't get the job done at his alma mater. That sucks. That's going to bug him for the rest of his life.
And bug the alma mater as well. It's two-way street. It sucks.
That's a bad ending. And, Mike Sanford, he was fired year 2 at Western Kentucky after year 2. Went 6-6 year 1, 3-9 year 2. And then he was, asked to hold the fort down in Boulder when they fired Carl Durrell during the season in Colorado the year before they hired Prime in there.
Yep.
Sanford tried to keep the ship straight there, and but his record as a head coach, Mike Sanford, he's like 11-20 or something like that. It's been a tough go, and Andy Avalos is right there as well. Not I don't think he's under 500 because at Boise State it's impossible to be under 500. But for Boise State, it's not a wonderful record for those 2 guys.
And he had a nice job. He did a nice job this year at TCU. And I think they ended up winning 9 games, maybe 10 games.
They had a good year, I thought.
Yeah, very inconsistent.
Yeah, the quarterbacks now at
Hoover went to Auburn, I think, or Josh Hoover went somewhere. I'm not sure. All right, 2 quick names before we get out of here. Very intrigued by these 2 names. I'm going to give you one of them right now. I'm very intrigued to watch this guy be a coach for the next 20 years because I have no idea what the ending is going to be. Jeff Choate.
Yeah, he's on the list. He's on the tree.
Can they rise a little bit in the new Mountain West?
If he's going to be successful, it's not going to be at Nevada.
Yeah.
You're done with, really? He's not going to flip Nevada in the new Mountain West, maybe to go give me a 7-5 and a 6-6.
You can have one great year there and maybe win 10 games and get a job and move on.
Yeah.
But there's no way that community can sustain success. That community is so broken, so apathetic about its football program right now. It's not about one man. It's about an entire community that's kind of checked out. So yeah, I give him a puncher's chance to win 8, 9, 10 games. Find that one piece of success, get yourself the hell out of Reno and go find yourself a better job. He can flame out and be a nobody. I also think he can scratch his claw in ways to the top. I'm very curious about Jeff Choate. And this, of course, leaves us down to one name.
I know where you're going.
Yes, you do.
He was just on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yes, he was.
Craig, you know who we're talking about?
If it's just on the show a couple weeks ago, I should know.
Actually, was Greg a part of that show, or was he doing one of his vacay things?
He might have been celebrating Christmas with Mom and Dad.
He might have been in Philly
when we were talking.
Okay, what do we got?
To Kirby Moore.
Oh, Kirby Moore. Okay,
Kirby Moore.
Tell me how you feel about
that.
How do you feel about his future ball game?
Washington State, Chris Petersen tree. I think Kirby Moore. I'll say I love his future. I want to see if he can win at Pullman. It's not an impossible place to win.
No,
you can win in Pullman,
100%,
big time. And Kirby Moore knows that's part of the reason he took the gig. But other than that, Kellen and Kirby. Choate's not winning. Harse isn't working. Wilcox isn't working. Lake, I don't think is working. Jonathan Smith, I don't think is working. Andy's a solid DC. Sanford's doing the high school / media thing. And Sean Kugler, I don't know where the hell he is.
Well, that's the thing.
Chris Petersen's tree right now it's dying, man.
There are not many living branches.
Falling down, yeah.
So one quick thing on Lake. He is with the he's a defensive assistant with the Rams.
The Rams, he's McVay.
Because he was with Atlanta last year, and now he's with McVay as a senior. He's with a senior defensive analyst with Sean McVay.
Well, maybe if Chris Shula gets a head coaching job, he gets a promotion there.
It could be.
Yeah,
I mean, Chris Petersen and Sean McVay are very close now. It doesn't shock me to know that Scott Huff and Jimmy Lake are working for Sean McVay or Chris Petersen guys. That could have easily been, hey, I'm looking for this. And Chris Petersen, hey, those two rock solid humans and great coaches. And Sean McVay says, thank you.
There's 10 dudes on this list. I think we got them all. Let us know if we missed one. We're talking Chris Petersen players, Chris Petersen assistant coaches who have gone on to become head coaches at any level, well, pro or college level, and trying to build that tree and keep it going.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like there's any candidate here to make a CFP or anything the way Saban's does, but a fun exercise.
Yeah, we'll see what Kellen Moore can do in the NFL. Get those texts in, 208-424-9300. We love you.
Depending on what Brian Harsin does, who, by the way, has an ultimate open invitation. I've been bugging the crap out of that guy.
Yeah, let's get him on, man.
I've sent him a text every other day. I'm obsessed with Brian Harsin. This is a safe place. I just want to talk about what's next. I can see Brian Harsin, if he rebounds and if he wants to rebound, I can see him taking a team to a decent, like Oregon State or a Colorado State or wherever he wants to go. I think he can create some success and maybe dabble with a CFP game every now and then.
Hey, guys, 208-424-9300, Taco Bell hotline. Does college football have to hit rock bottom if it's ever going to begin to possibly fix itself? And what is rock bottom? Was it last night with Lane Kiffin, the Washington Huskies, and that fiasco? We want your thoughts. Taco Bell hotline here on KTIK, The Ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studio, this